The last game of the 1918 World Series was played in Boston, and so it only seems proper that the first game of the 1919 season would also be played in Boston. 1918, of course, was the year of the work or fight order, and it seemed like every major news organization was hoping that the sport would end in favor of fighting the war. The general consensus was that the war would continue on through 1920 and that baseball would be gone until the end of the war. It was shocking when the war suddenly ended on November 11th, 1918, and so the decision was made to only hold a 140-game season in 1919. Now, these days, that decision seems a little bit hasty, maybe even a little bit foolish, but back in 1919, it really did seem wise. The owners didn't know if the public even had an appetite for the sport of baseball after all of that blood and destruction, and so they decided to play it safe and they hedged their bets a little bit. April 19th, of course, was Patriots Day in Massachusetts with the customary running of the marathon. In a tradition going back to at least 1902, one of the Boston teams would always host a doubleheader on Patriots Day. It had been the American League Club's turn in 1918, and so this year the Braves had their turn. And interestingly enough, the Braves were given the right to hold an April 19th doubleheader, even though none of the other teams in either league started play until April 23rd. So this might seem strange since the answer that I just gave you is so simple, but this has actually been a puzzling point for a lot of historians over the years. This includes the good people at Sabre, who wrote a very nice long article about the 1918 baseball off-season. A little bit of time fiddling around with the archives, especially the newspaper archives, would have reminded them of this doubleheader tradition in Boston on the holidays, and it's unfortunate that this is a tradition that died out a long time ago. Hope springs eternal in April, and there was a lot of hope that the Braves would overcome a bad 1918 season and be competitive. Weak hitting but good fielding Rabbit Moranville was clearly the star of the team, even though he's generally regarded these days as one of the weaker members of the Hall of Fame. Moranville was about 5'5", he was extremely skinny, and he was an infamous practical joker. The rest of the team needed a lot of work though, and it unfortunately looked like management was hoping for a repeat of that miracle of 1914. Boston's opponents for the first two games of the season were the Brooklyn Robins, another second division team that needed hopes and prayers. Brooklyn had a very strong hitting outfield but looked weak everywhere else on the diamond. Now you couldn't argue with Zach Wheat, who was one of the best hitters on Brooklyn in the late teens. The Robins had appeared in their first World Series ever back in 1916, not all that long ago. Of course, that season, the Robins, or Dodgers, or Superbas, or whatever you wanted to call them, had to deal with this kid pitcher named Babe Ruth. And we'll talk a little bit more about Babe Ruth before too long, especially when we start getting to the Red Sox game. So welcome here to a new project. I hope that you enjoyed this little historical overview at the beginning. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of playing with a Diamond Mine baseball, but it's going to be a little bit different this time around. And you'll see, and I'll sort of explain this as we get to it. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and sort of hop straight on into this. So this is Diamond Mine Baseball, the latest version. If you're interested in seeing, you can see it right there, version 12B. And we are playing on Windows 7, as you can see there at the very top. We'll go over here to game and scheduled, and we have two games here to play today. Now, I'm going to give you both games here in this video because this is just the way that we're going to do it. We're going to do the same thing that we normally do in that we have the computer coach the visiting team, I'll coach the home team. I'm also going to give myself sort of the ability to look at the lineups for both teams beforehand. So what we're going to do here is, I guess, what we would consider to be a more traditional type replay with the real life lineups and transactions, except that I might step in from time to time and make a couple of changes here and there to the lineups to make them make sense depending upon what happens in the replay. So we'll go ahead and click OK. Here we are at Braves Field, where it says that the game time temperature is 72 degrees, which is a little bit off. In real life, in the morning, it was kind of freezing. So in case you're interested, the morning game here started at, I think, around 10:30 in the morning. Afternoon game was around 2:30 in the afternoon, if I remember right from the newspapers that I read. The thing to pay attention to here, of course, is that this was not one of those single admission doubleheaders. This was a double admission type doubleheader. So starting here on the mound for Boston is going to end up being Dick Rudolph. I'll let you take a quick look at him. Rudolph in 1919 was 31 years old, the 13-18 record in real life, but he was one of the workhorses of the Braves staff. 1918, he was a little bit limited because of a little bit of arm trouble. And so we'll go ahead and just go straight on over for it. And it's going to take me right here to the game. Okay, so I guess we didn't get to see the Brooklyn lineup, but it's okay. So here we go, and here we are at the old Braves field as set up for 1919, and we'll see what happens as we go ahead and get this game underway. It'll be Dick Rudolph up against Jimmy Johnston, and there's the ball high to Johnston. Jimmy Johnston, a very, very interesting player, sort of your stereotypical Deadball era player. He was known much more for his speed than for anything else. And there is a single through the left side into the hole for a base hit. And so the Brooklyns have their leadoff man on base. Johnston was quite a fast runner, but he also had this tendency to get caught stealing. As you can see here, in real life in 1919, 15 steals and 8 times caught stealing. And if you're interested in Diamond Mine, yes, he does have the good jump rating. So we'll throw over to first just for a second and see what happens. Lou Malone up there next. Malone was a 22-year-old, and the interesting thing is that this is actually his final season in the major leagues. There's a ball, and there goes Johnston. Wilson throws over, and it's Herzog who grabs it and makes the tag down there for the out. And just as I told you, Johnston a little bit of a reckless base runner, and he's gotten himself thrown out as the first base runner of the season for the Brooklyn Robins. And so that makes it 1 man out here in the top of the first. Malone swings and reaches for that one and fouls it off to the right, makes it a 1-1 count. And there's a ball to him, 2-1 now on Lou Malone. And that is low, 3-1. Lou Malone, interesting player, started his career with the Athletics in 1915 under an assumed name. And there's a ground ball to the right side. Herzog feels that and goes over to first for the out. There's 2 away, and that'll bring up Tommy Griffith. In the end, Malone was discovered by one of the sports writers. They figured out who he really was. He was trying to keep his amateur status so he could play for, I believe it was his high school team in their big rivalry game, and that didn't work out. So here's Tommy Griffith. Takes the ball low and away, 1-0 on Tommy. Tommy, part of the power hitting part of the Robins lineup. There's one inside on him. It's 2-0. Of course, there wasn't that much power. We're talking 1919. It's still kind of Deadball era. Ground ball to third, and it'll be Smith, Red Smith, with a good play. Straightens up, throws over to first base in time for the out. And that takes us here to the bottom of the first inning. And so if I pause a little bit here or there to drink some water or catch my breath, I do apologize for that. We're going to try to keep this one going as quickly as we can, but we do have a couple of little stories and anecdotes to regale you with. Apologies as well for the sound of the heater in the background because it is well below freezing. This is there's a strike in there from Cador to Moranville, 0-1 on Rabid. So while this game is being played, you can think about it sort of in the sun, I guess, of morning sun of Braves Field. It was colder than 72. Where I am right now, it's no 72 degrees. It's about 20 outside with snow all over the ground. 1-1 is that one from Cador misses. The next pitch comes on the way, and there's a swing and a miss by Rabbit. It's 1-2. 1-2 pitch will come in now to Moranville, and there's a bullet through the hole and into left field, and Moranville gets the hit. Now, that'll bring up here Buck Herzog. Buck Herzog, if that's a name that sounds familiar to you, that means you've been paying attention to your New York Giants history. Herzog, an interesting player. Herzog was the sort of player John McGraw loved to have on his team. And you can see right here, of course, the excellent bunt rating and so on. But Herzog hated the guy as a man. Or, I'm sorry, McGraw hated the guy as a man. Herzog was very, very good at getting the big money contracts, and the owners didn't like him that much. Squares around to try to bunt on that one, and he misses the pitch. So it's 0-1 now on Herzog. Cador with the advantage. There's a throw to first base, but nothing happening. Another throw to first base, and that one's high. Johnston has to jump for that, but he is able to grab it, no problem. So bottom of the first inning, nothing happening, and here's another pitch to Herzog, and that is lined over to left field. That'll fall in front of Griffith for a base hit, and Moranville, with that good speed, gets all the way around to third base. So Herzog comes through, and here comes Ray Powell. Ray Powell, you got to wonder why in the world Ray Powell is hitting third in the lineup, and if you're wondering why, all you have to do is look over here. In real life in 1919, Powell had 2 home runs, had 30 RBIs. Not exactly your stereotypical hitter for the third man in the lineup, right? Powell, in reality, never really was much of a power hitter. I'm glancing over here at the moment at Baseball Reference, and I can see that he definitely didn't ever have a season with good home run totals except 1921, a little bit after this, and then he had the grand total of 12 that year. Always had, sort of OPS ratings on base plus slugging that's a little bit below the average. Takes the ball low and in, 1-0. So Powell's sort of your dead ball era type of cleanup hitter, or number 3 hitter. Lines this one over to right field, and it's got a little bit under it. Griffith runs way back there, probably about 350 feet back, and makes the catch for the out. Tagging up at third base is Moranville, and he will score, and that makes it 1-0 Boston. And here comes Joe Riggert. So Powell does get it done. He does get the RBI, but does not get the base hit, and here comes Riggert. Riggert had played in St. Paul in 1918. He takes a strike there from Cador. Riggert's an interesting story playing in St. Paul because he was one of the last players drafted in the minor league draft before that was taken away. And he hits this one down the right field line, and that's a fair ball into the corner, and Griffith having a hard time feeling that one. He ends up going back and grabbing that. Herzog scores all the way from first. Riggert goes for third base and slides, and he is safe in there with the triple. So Riggert with a triple ends up making it 2-0 Boston, and that'll bring up Walter Hulk. So Leon Cador, the old Iron Man for the Brooklyn Robins, is having a few problems here. Only one man out in the bottom of the first, already down 2-0, and there's a ball to Hulk. And next pitch, and that is off the outside corner, so it's 2-0. Hulk, by the way, interesting story about him, went to Cincinnati in a trade right after 1918 and then traded 3 days later to Brooklyn. So he didn't have a long time with the Reds. He takes ball 3. 3-0 the count. And he'll be taking this one, of course, and there's a strike automatic, 3-1. And he takes ball 4, watching all the way, and down he goes to first base. Leon Cador, by the way, not a pitcher who would walk a lot of guys, as you can see if you look over to the right side of the screen. 39 walks in real life in 1919 against 249 innings. They don't make him like that anymore, I'll tell you that. So Cador, we have all sorts of stories about him. He throws a strike over here to Red Smith, 0-1. Cador, not also known as the strikeout pitcher, he was sort of an Adam type guy. There's a waste piss outside, 1-1 now the count on Smith. That's inside on Red, 2-1 now the count. And the next pitch comes in, and that's inside, very far inside, making the count 3-1. And I got to wonder if Leon isn't running out of his good control. But Smith will take this one. And there's a strike at the knees, and that makes this a full count. So one man out, bottom of the first, 2-0 Braves, runners on to the corners, and it's a full count on Smith. Swung on and hit over to left field, and that's right there for Zach Wheat, who makes the catch for the out, and there are 2 men out. Riggert not quite fast enough to score on that one, so 2 out, and up comes Joe Kelly. Joe Kelly, of course, famous name from the 19th century. Here's a check swing by Joe, and they call that a strike, 0-1. And this Kelly was also compared with that old Kelly, even though that Kelly had an extra E. This Kelly, K-A-L-L-Y, as he takes the ball, 1-1. The old Kelly, K-E-L-L-E-Y. 1-1 pitch comes in, and that's another one in there for a strike. It's 1-2. Cador has him where he wants him. Another pitch, and that's bounced over to O'Mara at third base, who flips over to second, the easy way for the out. And it took a little while, but the Brooklyns are out of the inning. So we go to the top of the second inning, and it's a 2-0 lead for the Braves. Now that'll bring up Zach Wheat. Zach Wheat, one of the best hitters of the end period of the Deadball Era, the late 19-teens, early 1920s. Here comes Dick Rudolph's pitch, and he works on the outside edge for a strike, 0-1. Rudolph, a spitball pitcher, by the way, and there's a little looping shot to center field. Riggert runs over there, and he's able to make that catch for the out. Had a good jump on that one, and there's one away. Up now is Hy Myers. Rudolph was not, though, the sort of man who would always throw the spitball. He would just throw the spitball once in a while. And there's a strike to Myers, 0-1. But when the spitter was outlawed, Rudolph was one of the pitchers who was given the grandfather clause, which meant he could still use it. Ground ball left side, Moranville, and he picks that one in and can't get the throw off to first base for the out. And so it's going to be an error on Rabid. That puts Myers on at first, and that'll bring up Ivy Olson. Ivy Olson was one of those rough and tumble type players who would always get in fights with other players. In fact, he had a fight with Robert Moranville, of all people, back in April 1916, so we'll see if that happens here today. There's a strike a little bit high to Olson, 0-1. Check on the runner at first base. Here's the pitch now, and it's popped up in the air. It's past third base, and Kelly, the left fielder, will be there for the out, and he makes the catch, and there are 2 men out, and that'll bring up Ollie O'Mara. Ollie O'Mara, the third baseman, All of these players are interesting. O'Mara, 28 years old, didn't have a whole bunch of time in the major leagues, and this doubleheader will be his final games in the major leagues. We'll see what happens to him after we're done with this game when we look around the papers a bit. So O'Mara fouls one away, 0-1. He was over 7 real life. We'll see if he does that again. Fouled away again, 0-2. We want him to get his at-bats, of course. This is fouled away off his foot. And swing and a miss, down he goes. He didn't know it yet, but now he does, and he's a strikeout, and we go to the bottom of the second inning. That'll bring up Art Wilson, the catcher for the Braves. Wilson, kind of a veteran catcher, 33 years old, takes the ball high, 1-0. Wilson, of course, didn't start a lot of games. This is fouled away, 1-1, because the Braves had Hank Gowdy, who also came back from the war. A strike called at the knees, I beg your pardon. 1-2 now the count on Wilson. Kador comes with the good stuff, hits this one over to right center field, and Myers cuts this one off, and that will hold Wilson to a single, but Wilson able to get the base hit, and that'll bring up the pitcher, Dick Rudolph, and you know it's time to bunt. So nobody out here, bottom of the second, 2-0 Braves, as Rudolph fouls the first pitch away, 0-1, trying to bunt. Infield in at the corners. There's a throw to first, but not in time. This is a little bit high. Rudolph with a good eye, 1-1. And there's a bunt first base line, but it just rolls foul. So 1-2 now the count. He'll try to bunt again. And it's fouled off of the plate, and that will be the strikeout. So Kador gets his first strikeout, and that'll bring up Rabbit Moranville. Rabbit so far today, of course, has 1-for-1 with that base hit in the first. That led to the Braves scoring their first run, and he takes the ball, 1-1. 1-0, sorry, is the little ground ball over the left side. It's Olsen who has it, flips over to Malone for one, and they go over to first base, but not in time. Moranville beats that one out. That's why they call him the Rabbit. So 2 men away after the fielder's choice. Here comes Buck Herzog. And he takes a strike, 0-1. You can hear that heater going away in the background here. Fouled away, it's 0-2. That thing really kind of grates my ears. I hope you're doing okay. And there's a pitch that just misses. 1-2 now the count. Off the plate, and it is 2-2 against Herzog. And this is fouled back to the backstop. It remains 2-2. And throw to first base, but Moranville not going anywhere. This is hit over to left field, and it'll be Zach Wheat going over and making the catch for the out, and we go to the top of the third inning. So still 2-0 Braves, and here comes Ernie Kruger. Kruger, of course, the catcher behind the plate. In real life, Kruger actually started the season for the Robins being the main catcher as he takes a strike. He would split time a little bit with Otto Miller, but it was mostly Kruger at the beginning of the season, and then came Mac Wheat along, so we'll meet him before too long. There's another strike in there to Kruger. It's 0-2. And this pitch misses inside. 1-2 the count now. And next one misses outside, so it's 2-2 here on Ernie. And there's strike 3 called, so Rudolph gets another strikeout, his second of the game, and there's one away, and here comes Leon Kador. He's got nobody to bunt, so he'll be up there taking his hacks. There's a ball that bounces in the dirt, 1-0. And there's a strike. There was a good frame there by Wilson, so that makes it a 1-1 count. Little ground ball over to short. Moranville gets the good hop, throws over to first for the out, and there's 2 away, and up now is Jimmy Johnston. So Jimmy Johnston is the name, not the Jimmy Johnstone of Celtic fame, nor the Jimmy Johnson of the fame of the Dallas Cowboys and University of Miami. Johnston here, 1-for-1 today, takes the ball, 1-0. Johnston the speedster, and there's the strike. But Johnston, interesting story, he was hit twice in his career in the minor leagues. And there's a strike on him. I'm sorry, once in the minors and once in the majors. 1911 he was beamed once. 1915 was the second time, and he managed to somehow keep his career alive. I think he had to have surgery after the second one. He hits a little flare over to center field. Rigger coming in, and he dives and makes a tremendous catch for the out. And so we will go here to the bottom of the third inning. Still a 2-0 lead for the Braves, and that'll bring up Ray Powell. Powell takes a strike, 0-1. And that's low and inside. So 1-1 now the count on Ray. As I said, Ray, interesting choice for the number 3 guy in the order as he pops this one up. Kruger going back over to the fence, but that's out of play. 1-2 now. Swing and a miss, and down goes Ray. So there's one away, and here comes Joe Riggert. So Riggert here had the triple last time up and scored a run. He drove in a run. Takes a strike, 0-1, and that's a little bit high. 1-1 now the count. That's fouled back by Riggert. It's 1-2. So 1-2 now the count on Joe. That's way inside for a ball. 2-2 here. Riggert The cleanup hitter at a time when you could have a cleanup hitter with only 4 home runs. It's a swing and a miss, and down goes Riggard, and Cador has struck out 3 now today. That'll bring up Walter Hulk. Now we got to watch Cador's strikeout numbers. You don't want to give him too many. Hulk now takes a ball that misses inside, 1-0 the count. And that's hit up the ground, up the middle for a base hit. That gets between Olson and Malone and up the middle. And so Hulk winds up at first base, and here again is Red Smith. That's a ball in the dirt. Smith looked like he was going to go after it and then decided not to. So it's a 1-0 count on Red. And that one is away from him, 2-0. And there's a throwback to first base, but Hulk not going anywhere. There's a little ground ball over to third base. O'Mara has it, flips over to second base for the out, and that'll do it. So we go to the top of the 4th inning now, still a 2-0 lead for the Braves, and this will bring up Lou Malone. So the youngster Malone comes up there. Malone, ground ball right side. Herzog grabs it, flips over to Hulk at first for the out, and there's one away, and that'll bring up Tommy Griffith. This is fouled away by Tommy, 0-1. You can see what Brooklyn's strategy was here in those days, right? You want to get Johnston on, you want to have Malone bunt him, and then you want to get the 3 big guys, Griffith, Wheat, and Myers. Popped up right side by Griffith, and it'll be Herzog, the second baseman, going over in foul territory to make the catch for the out, and there are 2 men out. And here comes the real big man, Zach Wheat. Zach Wheat lines this one towards first base. That's down in the corner. It gets past Hulk, and it's Powell running over to try to grab that one. Wheat rounds second base, going over to third. There's a throw, comes in, but it is late, and Wheat ends up with a triple at third base. And that'll bring up High Myers now, and the Robins have a big chance here to get at least 1 run. So Wheat ends up with the triple. He's now 1 for 2 here in this season. High Myers now takes the ball high and outside. It's 1-0. And there's another ball that's right down at the middle, maybe a little bit inside, 2-0. Strike now to Myers, and it's a 2-1 count. So Rudolph, when we're looking at him pitch, we got to watch for the normal stuff, the fastball, the curve, occasionally the slow ball, but it's the spitter that gets them every time. And this is a backdoor curve that misses, 3-1 now the count on High. And this hits the glove, and he gets the call, 3-2. That was a good fastball. Next pitch, and that's fouled away. And this is popped up behind the plate. It'll be Wilson, the catcher, tossing his mask aside, and he makes the catch for the out. And so the Robins ruin another golden opportunity, and we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. It'll be Joe Kelly here to lead off for the Braves. And that's a ball inside on him, 1-0. And swing and a miss at that one. It's 1-1 now on Joe. Inside, and he fouls that one away. So 1-2 as he fought that one off, and there's a swing and a foul tip, but Kruger cannot hold on to it. So it's still a 1-2 count on Kelly. Kelly, in real life, hit 141. Fouls this one back. It's still 1-2. It's lined to the right side, but it'll be Griffith, the right fielder, who takes that one easily after coming in a few steps. 1 away. Art Wilson now. Now, you can see from the diagram of this ballpark that Braves Field, especially back in those days, was kind of long, especially in right center field. Unusually shaped ballpark. This is hit deep to left, though, however. Zach Wheat going back, and he's able to make the catch for the out. Remember, no warning track in 1919. There's 2 away, and here's Dick Rudolph. And the problem is, of course, it's deep enough, 402 down the line to left field. It is deep enough down there that you're really going to have to get a sock in one. That's one of the reasons why they play small ball. Dick Rudolph, the pitcher, now takes the ball inside from Cador, 1-0. Fouled away. It's 1-1 now on Rudolph, and this is hit over left center field. It'll be Myers, the center fielder, running after that, grabbing it for the out, and we go to the top of the 5th inning. Ivy Olson here now to lead this one off. Ivy, as I was mentioning, one of those sort of big guys, one of those big scrappy guys, and he takes a strike, 0-1. Olson, his parents were Swedish immigrants. That helps them explain the name. That's why it's O-L-S-O-N, not O-L-S-E-N. There's a strike to Ivy, 0-2 now the count. Popped up behind second. It'll be Moranville, the shortstop, catches that one for the out, and there's 1 away. Ollie O'Mara up there now. So O'Mara, not with much time left in the majors, though he doesn't know it, takes a strike from Dick Rudolph, 0-1. That misses inside, 1-1 now on O'Mara. Ground ball to the right side. It'll be Herzog who stops this one, but he has no play at first base. So Amara gets the infield hit. How about that for a story? So Herzog was going to go for the throw to first, but Hulk went for the ball instead of going for the bag, and Dick Rudolph, just stood there looking at the whole play happening in front of him. Not a good play there by the pitcher. He needs to do something with that, and that'll bring up Ernie Kruger. O'Mara, we don't know what kind of runner he was, so we'll see what happens here. There's a ball high to Kruger, 1-0. Top of the fifth inning, 2-0 Braves. There's a strike in there to Kruger, and it's 1-1. And that's a strike called here on Ernie. 1-2 now the count. Ground ball, Moranville, good stop, and he flips over to Herzog, but it's off target. It takes Herzog off the bag. O'Mara is safe at second, and that'll bring up Leon Cador with only one man out, and you know that they're going to bunt. So a little bit of an infield challenge there for the Braves. There have been no errors in this inning, instead 2 infield hits, but both of them caused by poor fielding. Cador, and he has a half swing and fouls that into the crowd. It's 0-1. Interesting that he's not bunting, but the 161 real-life average. Here's the next pitch. It's a strike on the outside corner, so Rudolph gets that key second strike. Now we'll play straight up for the double play. There is a ball outside. 1-2 now on Cador, the pitcher. And it's a shot snagged by Herzog, and he flips that one over to Moranville and then on to first for the out. I say that was a shot that was snagged by him, but it was a little shot on the ground. Herzog with a great play had flipped that one over to Moranville, and it ended up being a 4-6-3 double play. That one originally had right field written all over it. So bad luck there for the Robins once again. We go to the bottom of the fifth inning, and it's a 2-0 lead for the Braves. It will be Rabbit Moranville here leading this one off. Moranville swings, bouncing ball over to third. O'Mara has it in a stride and throws over to first for the out, one away, and here comes Buck Herzog. Herzog, so far today, 1 for 2, takes the ball outside, 1-0. And there's the strike on him, 1-1 the count. Fouled away, it's 1-2 now on Buck Herzog. And swing and a miss on one off the plate, and Kruger ends up trapping that one nicely for the out, tags him, and that gets him. So there's 2 away now, and that'll bring up Ray Powell. Powell today is 0 for 1. And he takes the strike, 0-1 now the count on him. There's a line drive to the right side, and Johnston dives for that one, but it gets by him for a base hit. So Powell does get the single. That'll put him at 1 for 2 so far in this season, and that brings up Joe Riggert. Hit number 6 for the Braves off of Leon Cador. Cador, though, is, of course, the sort of guy who stays in there forever. Cador, if you don't know, was the pitcher for the Braves in that famous 26-inning game in 1920. So, I'm sorry, for the Robins. There's a ball over to Riggert, 1-0 now the count. I'm getting the teams right. I know which teams were part of it, but I got the man wrong. 1-0, and there's the pitch, and it's a swing and a miss, 1-1. But Cador was known back then for being sort of an Iron Man type pitcher. A little liner towards short center, and Myers goes after that one. Olsen, Malone, nobody can get that one, and that ends up being a bloop single for Riggert. Powell is at second base. They're going to hold him here. With a 2-run lead, there's no need to take a whole bunch of risks, and here comes Walter Hulk now. So Hulk so far today is 1 for 1, and the Braves have their 7th hit of the ball game and are starting to threaten again. Here comes Hulk, who singled last time up, and he takes a strike. And there's a ground ball past Cador, and it'll be Olsen who ends up fielding that one, and he flips that one on over to Malone, and that gets the runner coming in, and we go to the top of the 6th. Still a 2-0 lead for the Braves, and this will bring up Jimmy Johnston. Johnston 1 for 2 today, and he takes the ball high, 1-0. Didn't walk very much. One of the problems with some of these guys back in those days. Little ground ball over to Moranville, who throws to first for the out, and there's one away. If you've been spending time watching the Baseball Stars series I've been doing, you know what I'm talking about. I do this all the time to swing at everything. You don't want to do that if you're the leadoff hitter. There's a ball over to Malone, 1-0. And this is fouled off of his foot. That makes it a 1-1 count. This heater staying on forever. 1-2 now the count as he fouls that one back. And the next pitch in there misses high. It's 2-2 now on Lou. And that one just missed, so it's a full count now on Lou Malone. And there's a little foul tip. That one not caught by Wilson, so we'll do it again. And there's ball 4. Looked like he swung, but the appeal was denied. So Dick Rudolph now has walked his first of the game. And that will bring up Tommy Griffith. That means that the Robins have a really, really golden opportunity here. They finally get Malone on base, and you've got Griffith, Wheat, and Myers coming up next. Tommy Griffith now takes the ball. He's 0 for 2. Hit over to shallow left, or shallow center rather. Rigger moves in a couple steps and makes the catch for the out, 2 away. That'll bring up Zach Weed, and all of a sudden it doesn't look like such a big problem anymore. Only 4 hits here for the Robins off of Rudolph, and there's a ball inside to Weed, 1-0. Of course, Weed had a triple that last time up, 1 for 2 he is today. There's a little pop-up over to center field. Riggert has that one easily, and we go to the bottom of the 6th. Red Smith up here now for the Braves. Ground ball over to the left side. O'Mara fields it, throws to first for the out, 1 away. That'll bring up Joe Kelly again. Kelly, not quite the same hitter as the old Kelly, takes the ball 1-0, I'm sorry. And he's 0 for 2 is what I'm looking at the same time. Another pitch comes in and misses, so it's a 2-0 count. And there's a strike down the middle. 2-1 now on Kelly. There's a pop over to the right side and falls among the spectators and makes it a 2-2 count. There's a pop fly over towards third base. O'Mara comes in on that one and he makes the catch, and that was not much of a pop-up. That one barely even got out of the infield. So 2 away, and that'll bring up Art Wilson. And this is the dead ball era, I'll tell you that. Wilson takes the ball high and in. When you get to the bottom of these orders, everybody just sort of dies off. A little looper over towards center field. Olsen, Malone, but actually in the end it ends up being the center fielder, Myers, making the catch for the out. A little bit of confusion there on the Brooklyn defense, but the Robins end up making the catch for the out, and that ends the inning. And so we go to the top of the 7th, and it'll be high Myers here for the Robins. Still down 2-0. There's a ball high to high, 1-0. It's fouled out of play, 1-1 now the count on Myers. And that's a ball high and inside. It's 2-1 now on Myers. And there's a little fly ball over to center field. It'll be Riggert again making the catch for the out, and there's 1 away. Riggert, known, I suppose, for being a good center fielder. There's a little line drive over to center field, left center field, and he couldn't grab that one that time, and that ends up being a base hit by Olsen. So the Robins finally able to figure out a place where there is not a Boston fielder, and that puts a runner on at first base here, top of the 7th, with 1 man out. Here's Ollie O'Mara. So as the heater finally goes off, you can see that this is the reason why he had so much bunting back then. You have to manufacture runs. 1-1 now the count as O'Mara takes one low. And there's a strike in the inside corner that makes it a 1-2 count now on Ollie. And he takes the ball, 2-2. So trying to work the count a little bit. It's hit over third base, but just foul. 2-2 the count remains. That's high to O'Mara. It's a full count on him. And that's just fouled away again. Full count, one of these diamond mine things. I suppose it could have happened in real life. He fouls another one away, so it's still a long battle. And there's a swing and a miss by O'Mara on 1 out of the strike zone. He was a little bit too eager to go after that one, and so Rudolph picks up his 3rd strikeout, and with 2 men away, here's Ernie Kruger. Kruger today 1 for 2. Takes a ball low. Remember, he beat out that infield ground ball last time up. Takes a strike now, 1-1. So Kruger, if you look just at what the history books tell you, you think that Kruger didn't really play that much, but like I said, he was really the starting catcher for this team at the beginning of the season. It's a little ground ball over to Red Smith at third base, who fields it and flips over to Herzog for the force at second, and we go to the bottom of the 7th. So that will bring up Dick Rudolph, the pitcher here for the Braves, and it's been a lot of sort of nothing at the bottom of these lineups. We may have to get used to that in this 1919 project, as there's the ball high to Rudolph. Ground ball right to the right of Malone, and that sneaks in there for a base hit. So Rudolph gets a base hit. Both pitchers have been on base here, and that'll bring up Rabbit Moranville. Now you really have a question. Rudolph doesn't have much by way of wheels, so do you start the runner? Do you bunt with Rabbit? What do you do? So we'll see what we do. And that's a line drive bunt by Moranville that goes over to the first baseman Johnston, who had played in on him. Rudolph has to hold, of course, and that's an unusual play. That's a real Rabbit Moranville type play. So there's 1 away, and that'll bring up Buck Herzog. Herzog today is 1 for 3, and he bunts down the first base line, but foul, 0-1. And there's a miss by Herzog, making it 0-2. Hit over to left field. Wheat is over to make the catch easily for the out, and there are 2 men out, and that'll bring up, once again, Ray Powell. So Powell, not really much of a power hitter, hitting number 3rd in the lineup. Hits a little ground ball over to Johnston. Johnston fields that one and flips over to Kador, the pitcher, covering at first for the out. And that'll do that. So we go now to the top of the 8th inning, still 2-0 Boston. That'll bring up Leon Cador, and they're going to take him out. It'll be Ed Kenichi. Ed Kenichi ends up coming up. So I was wondering if the computer was going to do that. Now I want to show you something here really quick if you're looking at this. If you're not, I'll sort of describe it to you. Looking at the Brooklyn bench, you have Kenichi, and then you have 4 other guys here. Mac Weed, Otto Miller, Lee McGee, and Jim Hickman. And for pitchers, you have 3 others: Burley Grimes, you have Al Mamo, and Jeff Pfeffer. And so you have 4 pitchers on the team, and you have 5 men on the bench. 5 plus 4 is 9, plus the 9 on the field is 18, right? And they used 1, so you have 19 maybe. So you're probably wondering, like, what in the world's going on, right? How come you have so few players? Turns out at the beginning of 1919, the owners decided to use only 21 players all season long. There's a ball to Kenichi, 1-0, and so that's one of the reasons why you didn't have a lot of pinch hitting and the like, because you don't have anybody on your team. Next pitch, and that's fouled away. It's 1-1 now on Kenichi. Hammered up the middle. Moranville can't get that one. Herzog also can't, as he dives for that one. That goes up straight away over to Riggert. So Kenichi gets his job done, and that'll bring up Jimmy Johnston with a runner on at first base. I'm not sure how you're supposed to manage a team when you have no players, but this is what they did, at least at the beginning of the season, as the war ended. Kind of the opposite of the 1946 season, if you're familiar with that. So here's Johnston, who takes a ball outside, 1-0. In 46, they actually expanded the roster. They didn't make it smaller. Kenichi, moving off of first. This is fouled away, and that makes it a 1-1 count. So 1-1 it is now to Johnston. Johnston, of course, 1 for 3 and hoping to get on base. Hit between first and second. That's through for a single. Kenichi has to hold at second, and that'll bring up Lou Malone, and now we have a ball game. So Dick Rudolph is getting himself in a little bit of trouble here. Runners on at first and second with nobody out. And so we'll see what happens with Malone. Now, you might have some questions about this as Malone bunts. It's rolled towards first. Hulk grabs it, and he tags Malone. No, he doesn't. Ends up missing him, and everybody is safe. And the Robins are looking like they might have a way to steal this one away. And that'll bring up the Tommy Griffith part of the order, Griffith, Wheat, and Myers. So I was about to say, you might be wondering a little bit about why the game does this and why it doesn't do that and so on. Diamond Mine is not necessarily created for the Deadball Era. You're going to see stuff like this. We'll have some problems with complete games, especially by the computer. We're going to have to live with it, right, to make it fun. The base is loaded, and here's Griffith, who takes a strike, upper edge of the strike zone, and it is 0-1. And that misses high by Rudolph, 1-1. There's a little blooper over to center field. That's a base hit. Kenichi scores. Johnson rounding third. He's going to try to score. Here comes a throw in from Riggert. And he is safe. Wilson got the ball, but the hand was in there before the tag, and that makes it a 2-2 ball game. And Rudolph has kind of blown his own game. That'll bring up Zach Wheat. If we go take a look here at the Braves, we actually have quite a few pitchers who are available to us and a number of batters as well. This is the thing that I was kind of questioning. I don't know exactly how strict they were about following those rules, but you could see with Brooklyn that they had basically no players on the team. Otto Miller will come in as a pinch runner. So it'll be Otto Miller coming in to run for Lou Malone. And I'm guessing that the Robins want to try to push their way through ahead to the victory. And here comes Zach Wheat. There's a ball high to Wheat, 1-0 now at the count. I don't question these transactions because they do a lot of good work for these Diamond Mine seasons. There's a ground ball over to Rabbit Moranville, who fields it, flips over to Herzog for 1. The relay to first is not in time. Wheat manages to beat that one out, and that puts runners onto the corners. 1 man out, and here comes Hy Myers. So that's the thing. I know that they do a lot of work. Jim over at Diamond Mine does a ton of work trying to put these things together. And so we know that the transactions are right and that it's actually quite realistic. Here's a ball over to Myers. It's 1-0. And that's fouled away, 1-1. Wheat was going off with that pitch. It was a hit and run. Hit over to left field. Kelly spins around a little bit, makes the catch for the out, but it's deep enough that Miller's able to easily score, and that makes this a 3-2 lead for the Robins. So everything is turned around here late, and that will bring up Ivy Olson. So 2 men out here in the top of the 8th inning. 3-2, the Robins with the lead, and up comes Olson, who's 1 for 3. Popped up behind third, and Smith ends up catching that one for the out, and that will do it. We go now to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Brooklyns are going through everybody possible in the on the bench, it looks like. So Lee McGee will be playing second base, and Al Mamo will be the pitcher. So I'll go take a quick look here at Momo, and we'll see if we can figure out what it is that Al Momo is able to throw. So what I have open here, I'm not showing this on camera, but I do have a copy of the Nair James Guide to Pitchers. And Al Momo, all it tells me is that his key pitch was a fastball. That's what Fred Lieb apparently said back in 1948 when he was writing about the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we'll see what happens. In real life in this game, nobody made any substitutions, but it's a little bit different than real life. Joe Riggert up here now, and he takes the ball. Momo, 2.68 ERA in real life, and kind of a formidable pitcher. There's a little fly ball over the left field from Riggert. Wheat coming in, sliding and can't get it. That one drops off of his body, and it's a base hit for Riggert, and that'll bring up Walter Holt. So the Braves are going to be fighting valiantly to try to come back and make a game out of this. And Riggert's off and running. It's a hit over to right field, base hit. Riggert, though, has to stop at second base. It wasn't hit well enough for him to continue on to third, and that puts runners on at first and second here for Red Smith with nobody out. So you have a one-run game, runners on at first and second, 3-2 lead. And the question now is, do you swing away with Smith or do you bunt with him? We probably will swing away and probably bunt with Kelly, I'm guessing. So Boston with something going on here. There's a ball out wide to Smith, 1-0 the count. And it's hit between first and second. Johnston has that one, flips over to Olston for 1, and it goes back to Johnston for to Momo for the double play at first as he was covering at the bag. Riggert goes over to third, and there's 2 men out just like that, and that brings up Joe Kelly. Kelly is 0 for 3. Kelly, not much of a player, I hate to say. There's a swing and a miss by Joe, 0-1 the count. And there's a strike to him, it's 0-2. That's fouled away. Still 0-2 now on Kelly. A little nubber, but foul. And there's this pitch on the inside corner, and they call strike 3, and down he goes. So we go to the top of the 9th inning, now a 3-2 lead for Brooklyn, as the Braves had a golden chance and couldn't capitalize. It'll be Ollie O'Mara here to lead this off for Brooklyn. There's a strike to O'Mara, 0-1. And swing and a miss, and it's 0-2 now on Ollie. And there's a little jam, foul ball off of first base. Hulk has enough time and ends up making the catch for the out. And there's one away. Here comes Ernie Kruger. A lot of foul territory here. Nothing like baseball is today. There's a foul ball down the third base line. 0-1 now on Ernie. That's a strike on the outside corner. It's 0-2. There's a ball low to him, 1-2. That's inside now, 2-2 now the count on Ernie. And there's a pitch that misses inside. That'll make it a full count on him. And the full count, the payoff pitch comes up. It's a little pop-up. It'll be back at first base, and Herzog runs over and grabs that for the out, and there's 2 away. And here comes Lee McGee, the second baseman, now hitting in the number 9 spot. There's a strike in there to McGee, 0-1. Ground ball towards first. Hulk fields that, flips over to Rudolph covering at the bag for the out, and we go to the bottom of the 9th. So fasten your safety belts. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning, and it'll be Art Wilson, probably a pinch hitter, and then Rabbit Moranville. Wilson takes the ball off the outside corner, 1-0. And there's another ball to him, 2-0 now the count. That's inside for ball 3, so Wilson working the count. And there's ball 4 high, so Al Momo having some problems with his control, and that will bring up Dick Rudolph. Rudolph now is not going to hit for himself. Instead, there will be a pinch hitter. So looking at this, you have a right-handed pitcher. It will probably be Tom Miller who comes into pinch hit. So Miller will come into pinch hit. We'll have him go ahead and swing away, but there is that double play threat. 0-1 as Tom takes a strike. And there's a pitch that just misses. It's a 1-1 count now on Miller. And this is a check swing, and that's bounced over Moranville's head in the on-deck circle, 1-2. Popped up, and that's behind the plate, and Kruger does not have enough room for that. Still 1-2 count. And there's a ball outside, 2-2 now. And this one just wide, and so Momo having a hard time finding the plate. It's a full count now, as Miller's really been working him. And there's a good pitch for strike 3 taken by him. So there's one away, and up comes Rabbit Moranville. Moranville, of course, not really the sort of guy you would expect to hit leadoff, but he had a little bit of a pep, hence the nickname. Little ground ball over to third, and O'Mara makes the play, throws over to first just in time for the out. And so with 2 men out, here comes Buck Herzog with the potential tying run now at second. So Moranville does move the runner over, but that's not necessarily the job you want him to do. You need to get a base hit. It's all down to Buck Herzog here. 10 hits for the Braves against 9 for the Robins, and there's a strike in there to Herzog. 0-1. Fouled straight back 0-2 now, and he's in a hole. As a ball outside, don't know how you take that one. 1-2 now the count on Herzog. Ground ball just fouled on the third base line. That would have been trouble. That would have tied the ball game. 1-2 now the count on Buck. That misses inside. It's 2-2. 2-2 pitch, and that is called strike 3. So the third strikeout there for Almamo. And that ends this ball game. The Robins end up with 3 runs on 9 hits, 3 runs all coming in the 8th inning. The Braves had 2 runs in the first inning. It looked like they were going to blow it out, and that just didn't happen. So we'll go ahead and exit, and in a second here, we'll go ahead and get back with it. You can see that I'm still here. This isn't some sort of like AI trick or whatever. I might be a little bit low here on the camera, but I'm still here, and we're still going. And did want to take this opportunity to tell you that, if you enjoy the things you're seeing on this channel, if you want to see more of this, please consider being a supporter of the channel. There are multiple ways to do it. You can do like a YouTube membership. You can check out the Patreon page that's linked to in the description, where I have all sorts of like sporting events and stuff you can check out. If this is valuable to you, please consider being a paying member of the channel. And we're going to go straight into this next game. Hopefully I'm able to record all of this. If not, I don't know, we'll figure something out. It should be okay. So stick with me here, and we'll just go straight into this next one, and we'll take a look here at the starting lineups. So in the second game, the lineup the same for both teams. It will be, however, Pat Reagan starting for the Braves. Not a lot of information about him out there. The Robins, meanwhile, are going to have Pfeffer starting, Jeff Pfeffer. And we have a little bit more information out there about Jeff Pfeffer. So we'll tell you a little bit more about him here in a second. Everything else staying the same, and so we go ahead and start the second game. This one actually started probably around 2:30 in the afternoon, as there's a strike in there to Johnston from Reagan, and that starts this off. 0-1. It's a line shot to the gap in right field, and that'll go for a double. Johnston leads this one off with a big double that gets over to Powell there in right field, and that'll bring up Lou Malone. So a good way to start the ball game here for Johnston here in the nightcap, I guess you can call it, the afternoon game. Here comes Malone. Reagan's first pitch is high for a ball taken by Malone, 1-0. And this is inside high again, 2-0 now on Lou. And there's an attempt to bunt, but that ends up missing. That was way outside, so Malone took that. It's now a 3-0 count. I did mention Malone, 22 years old. This is his final season in the majors. I think he gets injured later on in the season, but we'll see what happens when we watch through everything as the season progresses. That's a strike in there to Malone. He thought that was going to be ball 4, but he was called back. So 3-1 now the count. And there's a little bunt straight out in front. Reagan fields that one, throws over to Herzog covering at first base. Johnston moves over to third, and the Brooklyn's hoping to steal a run early. So there's 1 man out, and here comes Tommy Griffith. Griffith is kind of, your stereotypical, I suppose, number 3 hitter, with the exception of the lack of home runs, a good power hitter. Takes the ball, it's 1-0. This is popped up behind first base. Hulk has room for that one and catches that in foul territory, 2 men away, and here comes Zach Weed. Weed, of course, one of the best players offensively in the National League at this time. He takes the ball inside, 1-0. Has popped up on the infield. It'll be the third baseman, and Smith ends up making the catch for the out, and we go to the bottom of the first inning. So once again, of course, Rabbit Moranville leads this off for the Braves up against Jeff Pfeffer. Now, Jeff's real name was, I think it was Edward, something like that. You wonder why he got the nickname Jeff as he takes the ball, 1-0. Well, Pfeffer was actually a pretty big kid, and he was so big, people thought that he looked a lot like the old boxer Jim Jeffries, and so they called him Jeff. There's a strike to a Pfeffer, and it's 1-1. Funny thing is that Brooklyn also had a pitcher before this Pfeffer came along whose name was also Big Jeff Pfeffer, who was the older brother of Big Jeff Pfeffer here. And they gave both of them the same nickname because both of them looked like Jim Jeffries. There's a little ground ball over towards first base. Johnston fields that, makes the play himself, one away. Here comes Buck Herzog. So can you imagine that? You got two brothers who pitch for the same team, almost at the same time, one after the other, and they both have the same nickname. There's a strike in there, the Buck Herzog, 0-1. The Brooklyn fans must have wondered if they were seeing double or triple. Fouled away, 0-2 now on Herzog, and that's a ball low and outside, 1-2. Hit over left center field, and Wheat, Myers, neither one of them can get there in time, and Herzog gets a little bloop single, and that's the first hit for the Braves, and that'll bring up Ray Powell. So there won't be a no-hitter today, we know that. Powell now has a .333 average after that first game. There's a strike on the inside corner to Ray, it's 0-1. Throw to first, but Herzog back in time. There's a strike over to Powell, it's 0-2. This is a pop-up towards the screen and just out of play. So 0-2 the count remains. There's a throw back to first, nothing happening. And it's a line drive to center field. Myers goes over hard and makes a great play and then is able to easily throw over to first base to double off the runner. And so we go to the top of the second inning. A little poor job base running there by the Braves. They were a little aggressive. That'll bring up High Myers here for the Robins as he fouls one away, 0-1. So kind of a slow game, 1-1. I took my time a little bit, I guess, in the first game here. We'll go a little bit faster here for you, but we want to savor the moment as Myers fouls this away, 1-2 now. This is a low and away, 2-2. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully we can get the computer to process it all. This is fouled away, still 2-2. This is a little swing and a high fly over to center, and Riggard, of course, has that for the out. One away, here comes Ivy Olsen. Popped up but out of play, 0-1. I'm supposing Riggard, probably a good fielding center fielder. This is a ground ball over to Moranville, speak of good fielders, and he throws to first for the out. There's two away. Ollie O'Mara now the hitter. You speak of Rabbit Moranville. Moranville is sort of your Bill Mazeroski type guy in the Hall of Fame. O'Mara, 1 for 4. Remember, these are his last two games in the majors. Pops this one up, and it'll be Buck Herzog making the catch for the out, and we go to the bottom of the second inning. So it'll be Joe Riggard here leading this off for Boston. Mazeroski and Moranville. There's a foul ball by Riggard. It's 0-1. Both of them good fielding shortstops, not great hitters. There's a swing and a miss by Riggard, 0-2. People forget that a lot. A lot of WAR, wins above replacement, and all that stuff tends to be a little bit still tilted towards offense instead of defense. And that's where we have a lot of the debates and problems. Fouled away, still 0-2. A little nubber off to the right, remains 0-2. And there's a pitch wasted outside, 1-2. And that's a pitch inside that misses, so it's a 2-2 now the count. And there's a swing and a miss of one out of the zone, so Rigger got a little bit too happy with that one, and he's the first out here in the bottom of the second. That'll bring up Walter Hulk. Pfeffer throws one right past Hulk, 0-1. Jeff Pfeffer, really, really big guy. And there's a ball taken by Hulk. It's 1-1 now the count. Good fastball is what Pfeffer has. It's hit off the plate, off to the right side. It's Malone who grabs that one, flips over to Johnston just in time for the out. I'm sorry, to Pfeffer, I should say. No, it is to Johnston. It was Johnston fielding at first base. So there's 2 men out, and here comes Red Smith. Smith is still looking for his first hit of the season, takes the ball inside. And there's another ball, 2-0. You got to change the way you manage with this Deadball Era, and I haven't done a good job of that yet. It's going to take me maybe a couple games to get used to it again. 2-1 now, and that's in the dirt. 3-1 now the count. Pfeffer not with a great pitch there. And that's a little bit high for ball 4. So Big Jeff making a unusual kind of rare walk, and that'll bring up Joe Kelly. Not much you can do here with a batter like Joe Kelly. Throw to first base, nothing happening. It's hit high and deep over to left field, but Zach Wheat is there, makes the catch for the out, and we go to the top of the third. So no score here, top of the third inning. This game, by the way, depends on the newspaper you read and trust. You read the Brooklyn newspapers, they said there was about 12,000 people there in the afternoon game. The Boston paper said 20,000, so maybe it's in between the two. Pitch to Ernie Kruger leading off the top of the third is a strike, and this is fouled away. It's 0-2 now on Kruger. Of course, it was a big crowd because it's the holiday. 1-2 now the count, and you will notice that there were two separate entry fees instead of just having one. The reason for the two separate entry fees, of course, is because it was a holiday doubleheader. They always did that back then. Kruger now with the 1-2 count. He pops this one up towards shortstop, and it's Rabbit grabbing that for the out. There's one away. Big Jeff comes up and fouls one away. Not a big hitter, a big pitcher though. And one skips up there. 1-1 now the count on him. Reagan trying to be a little bit too careful with him. A little fly ball over to left center field. Riggert goes over and grabs that for the out, and there's two away. Riggert with some good range. Two gone. Jimmy Johnston now, 1-for-1, and takes a strike, 0-1. He has the only hit of the game for the Brooklyns, and there's a little bloop single towards left field. I was going to talk all about how Johnston was not a great leadoff hitter, how you don't want this guy at the top of your lineup and stuff. And what does he do? He gives me all of these hits at the beginning of the season. How about that? Lou Malone now, and he takes the ball, 1-0. There's a little pop-up left side. Smith, long run, doesn't get there in time, 1-1. In there for a strike, and Johnston running towards second base, and there's a... as Wilson throws over there, as Moranville gets the tag down, and he is called out. I kind of hesitated for a moment there because the Brooklyn dugout was hollering about that call at second, but Johnston thrown out trying to steal, and so we go to the bottom of the third inning. It'll be Art Wilson up here for Boston. So no score here as Wilson takes a strike, 0-1. It's fouled away. It's now 0-2 on Art. And it's hit over Olson's head, and that's a base hit for the second hit of the game for the Braves. That'll bring up the pitcher, Pat Reagan. So you know that he's going to bunt. Everybody knows he's going to bunt. The infield is in on the corners. And he squares around and bunts that to the right, but foul, 0-1. And this is fouled to the left side, 0-2 now the count. And that's bunt down the left side. It's going to hug the line, and that curves just foul right before it hits the bag. O'Mara really had a gamble trying to figure out if he wanted to field it or not. He allowed that one to keep rolling, and that ends up going foul right before it hits the bag, and that's a strikeout. And so Reagan ends up striking out. That brings up Rabbit Moranville. So Wilson's still on at first base. Here comes the Rabbit now hitting 167. And there's a throw over to first base. Johnston has to jump up and grab that one, and so Wilson is safe. And there's a swing and a miss. Wilson was going, and it looks like there was a hit and run play that failed. And so Wilson ends up being a dead duck at second base, and there's two men out, and Rabbit Moranville's still up there. And he tries to hold up, but he just fouled that one away, 0-2. Low and away to him now, 1-2. Fly ball to right field. Griffith has that one for the out, and we go to the top of the fourth inning. Still 0-0. Here comes Lou Malone for the Robins. There's a little ground ball past Reagan, and it goes up the middle for a base hit. I'm guessing that Moranville thought that Reagan was going to make the play. A little bit of miscommunication there on the Boston infield. The base hit there for Malone, and that'll bring up Tommy Griffith. Griffith now hitting 200, 1-for-5 in this season, takes the strike. And he bunts this one in front of the plate. Wilson has his only play as first base. Throws over to Herzog, covering at the bag for the out. Malone goes over to second. So runner on in scoring position now here for Zach Wheat. Wheat is 1-for-5 so far this season. Ground ball over to second. Herzog grabs it, throws over to first for the out. Malone moves over to third base, but there are two men out now, and here comes Hy Myers. Well, I tell you, the middle of this Brooklyn order has not looked all that formidable so far because everybody's making outs. So Myers, another big power hitter. He's 0-for-4 so far. He takes the ball, 1-0. 0-for-4 in the doubleheader. This is low again, 2-0 now the count. Hit deep to right. Powell goes back, and he's there and makes the catch for the out, and we go to the bottom of the fourth inning. It'll be Buck Herzog leading this off here for Boston. No score. There's a strike on the inside corner, 0-1 to Buck. Hit over to Wheat in left field, and he's got that one easily for the out, one away. Here comes Ray Powell. Ray Powell hitting 250 now this season, 1-for-4, takes a strike. Ground ball to short. Olson fields that one, throws over to first base, and that's a wild throw, and that one ends up going into the dugout. That was even past Pfeffer, who was trying to back up the play. Powell ends up going over to second base on that error. That'll bring up Joe Riggert, and that's the sort of error that might really change the complexion of the ball game. So Riggert up there now with a runner on at second base. No score. Bottom of the fourth, another tight ball game. Ground ball to the left side to short. Powell goes for third base. Olsen ends up fielding it, goes over to first, and ignores the runner going in front of him to third. And so now there's 2 men away, but there's a runner on a third base. Very, very interesting decision there by both Powell and Olsen. Bad base running and bad shortstopping, and this all happened at the same time. This is one of those kind of bizarre plays that you only see, I think, once in a blue moon. So go figure that one out. And it's a poor play by the shortstop, a poor play by the base runner, and yet it works out somehow. Walter Hulk up there now. It's a ground ball between first and second, and there's the base hit. And so now you really have to wonder about Olsen making that decision over at short. That makes it a 1-0 lead here for Boston in the bottom of the fourth, and that'll bring up Red Smith. And the way that Reagan has been pitching, that might end up holding up. The Red Smith comes up now. Still no hits this season. Takes a ball inside. And takes another ball. 2-0 the count. There is a strike on the outside corner. It's a real generous strike call. 2-1 now on Smith. And throw back to first base. Nothing happening. There's another pitch, and it's a ball. 3-1 now the count. Another attempt to throw to first base, but nothing doing. And that's just low, and Smith takes it for a ball. That is the second walk that Pfeffer's given up. That'll bring up Joe Kelly, but with 2 men out, there's not that much he can do. So here comes Kelly, who's 0 for everything. Swing and a miss, and the runners go. Kruger throws over to third base trying to catch Hulk, and it's a bad throw. O'Mara not able to reel that one in, and so both of the runners steal, and that means that first base is open. So runners on at second and third now, with 2 men out here in the bottom of the fourth. The Braves with a 1-0 lead, and they're looking to add to it. A little ground ball over towards short. It's O'Mara, actually, the third baseman, cuts that one off and throws over to first for the out. And so we go to the top of the fifth inning. It'll be Ivy Olsen leading this off for the Robins. Reagan comes in. This is popped up behind the plate, but out of play. 0-1. That's inside for a ball. 1-1. In real life, Pat Reagan, by the way, only went 7 innings, and the Braves gave some of the bullpen a little bit of work. I don't know if we're going to do that or not. This is a ball high over to Olsen, 2-1. Pop up, and this is out of play. 2-2. Wilson couldn't get to that one, and there's a ball high. It's a full count now, so Reagan having some problems as I was talking about him. There's a little pop up over to center field again. Riggert has it for the out, 1 away. 1 out, and here comes O'Mara, who fouls this away, 0-1. Inside, and he fouls that away as well, 0-2. This is popped up back in the upper deck. 0-2 it remains. Foul back away again. Ground ball past the mound. Herzog goes over, fields it, flips to first for the out, and there are 2 men out. And here comes Ernie Kruger. So 1-0 ball game, another tense ball game. Ground ball by Kruger up the middle. Moranville cannot get there, and that's a base hit. And that'll bring up Jeff Pfeffer once again. Pitcher comes up there and takes a strike. He's 0 for 1. This is fouled away. It's 0-2 now on Pfeffer. And there's a ball inside on him, 1-2. So Reagan being a little bit too fine with it. Pfeffer with a swing and just barely stays alive. Wilson couldn't catch that foul tip. Hit over to right center field, and it's going to be Riggert once again making the catch for the out. So we go down to the bottom of the fifth inning. 1-0 lead for the Braves. Here comes Art Wilson, the catcher. Veteran catcher comes up there and takes the ball inside, 1-0. And there's a strike. 1-1 now the count on Wilson. Little pop-up to short right field. It'll be Griffith, Malone, Johnston, and who made that catch in the end? It's Griffith who ends up making the running grab and does it backhanded. So it was kind of a comedy of errors out there for the Robins once again. 1 man out, and here's Pat Reagan once again. So the Brooklyn Robins having a hard time fielding in this game. There's a strike in there to Reagan. And there's a ball, 1-1. Swing and a miss. It's 1-2 now on Pat. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and down he goes. So there's 2 men away, and here comes Rabbit Moranville. Moranville hitting 143, no hits in this ball game, takes a strike. Started out strong, and that was it in this doubleheader. It'll pop up over to center field. It'll be Myers making the catch for the out, so say hi to High and say bye to Rabbit. We go to the top of the 6th inning, and it is still a 1-0 lead for the Braves. Jimmy Johnston back up there again, 2 for 2, takes the ball, hitting a whopping 667 in the doubleheader. Ground ball over to Moranville. He's always going to make this play. Throws to first for the out. 1 away. Here is Lou Malone. He hits one to right center field. It'll be Powell this time making the catch instead of Riggert. 2 away, and that'll bring up Tommy Griffith. There's a strike to Griffith, 0-1. And there's a ball off the plate, 1-1. Fouled back, and it's 1-2 now on Tommy. And that's just off the outside corner, but misses. 2-2 now the count on Griffith, and there's a ball high, so it's a full count now on Tommy. And that's fouled just out of play, fouled straight back. Another one fouled away as he fouled away ball 4. And this is fouled away again. This is one of those things Diamond Mine does every once in a while. Ground ball to second. Herzog feels that, throws to first for the out. And so it was much ado about nothing in the end. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning, and it's still a 1-0 lead for the Braves. Here comes Buck Herzog. There's a strike, high strike to Buck, 0-1. And another high strike. It's 0-2 now on Herzog. And swing, foul tip, but Kruger could not hold on. There's a ball to him. 1-2 now the count on Buck. Fouled away, 1-2. And that's just wide. 2-2 now the count on Herzog. And that's just fouled away again, 2-2. And Herzog goes with this pitch, and he will end up lining that one over to the right field, for a base hit. So Herzog went with that pitch and ends up getting a base hit out of just about nothing after fouling away pitch after pitch after pitch. He got a pitch that he didn't really like, but he did something with it that time. And so that'll bring up Ray Powell with a runner on at first base. Nobody out here. There's a throw over to first base, but nothing doing. There's a chance that Powell may end up bunting. We'll see what happens. And he does try to bunt. It's a bunt back to the mound. Pfeffer fields it, has it, drops it, and everybody's going to be safe. And so Pfeffer gets charged with the error. Herzog goes to second. Powell, of course, safe at first. That'll bring up Joe Riggert. Riggert had a great game in the first game of the doubleheader. He is 0 for 2 here so far today in the second game. So Riggert with a chance to turn himself into a hero. It's a high fly down the left field line, and Wheat has that one easily for the out. Herzog not going anywhere. It wasn't very deep, so there's one away. Here comes Walter Holk. Holk, so far 1 for 2 in this ball game, takes a strike, 0-1, hitting .600 this season so far. Fly ball over to Griffith in right field, and it wasn't very deep either, so we'll hold Herzog, and there's 2 away. And up now is Red Smith. So the Braves had a great opportunity and have squandered it. We should have bunted. Hit down the left field line. We going after that one, can't get to it. That's going to be a base hit. And Herzog goes in to score. Smith tries to turn that into 2, and it's a good throw by Wheat, and that's on the money and ends up getting him for the out. So a single by Smith is how you're going to score that one. Powell went over to third base, didn't have a chance to score before Smith was thrown out at second. Aggressive base running by the young Red Smith. And I guess he wasn't that young, probably in his mid-20s, I suppose. In fact, we could even look it up here if we wanted to. He was 29. And so Smith a little bit aggressive, and we go to the top of the 7th inning. It will be Zach Wheat who made the great play over in left field to stop the bottom of the 6th from continuing, who will lead this off. 2-0 now Braves. Lined over to left field, and Kelly goes deep for that one, but it's the airport out there in left, and he makes the catch for the out, 1 away. Here's High Myers. High Myers hits this one on the ground, and that one goes by Smith down the left side for a base hit. That's hit number 5 for the Robins, and that'll bring up Ivy Olson, the big man. So Ivy Olson, the man who probably was more like Jim Jeffries than anyone else, he takes the ball 1-0. He loves to fight. It's a loud single into center field, and that sends Myers over to third base, and here come the Robins. That'll bring up Ollie O'Mara again. And I think we go in at the corners here. Line towards the hole. Smith snags that one for the out. The runners have to scamper back to their bags, and there are 2 men out, and here comes Ernie Kruger. 2 men out, top of the 7th. 2-0 lead for the Braves. Looks kind of like the first game, doesn't it? There's a strike in there to Kruger, 0-1. There's a ball off the plate, 1-1 the count. Looper over towards shallow left. Kelly comes on, and he not able to get there on time, and that's going to be a base hit in front of him. And so scoring is the man on third base, and Kruger has a little bloop single. It was it was Myers who scored. That makes it a 2-1 ball game, and here comes Jeff Pfeffer, and he will hit for himself. So big man Jeff takes swings and misses at the first pitch for a strike, 0-1. This is fouled off of his bat, out of play. 0-2 now the count on Jeff. Poked over towards left field, and it's off of Smith's glove as he was trying to dive for that one. That will score the runner from second base, and Pfeffer is on at first base. And just like that, after Olson scores, we have a brand new ball game. It's a tie ball game with 2 out here in the top of the 7th, and Brooklyn has come back once again. And so that will bring up Jimmy Johnston, who's 2 for 3 in this game. And Reagan is really getting rocked. There's a foul ball by Johnston, 0-1. Fouled away. Now it's 0-2 on Jimmy. Outside pitch, swing and a miss, and down goes Johnston. He was a little bit too eager. But the Brooklyns get 2 runs in the top of the 7th, and that will bring us to the bottom of the 7th inning. It will be once again Joe Kelly. Kelly's kind of 0 for everything here so far, so we'll see what happens to Joe. There's a ball high and tight there, thrown by Pfeffer, 1-0. And swing and a miss at that one. 1-1 now the count. Hit on the line, base hit to left field. That'll bring up Art Wilson. So Kelly with the base hit. Here comes Wilson, and you know what time it is. It is bunt o'clock. So the bunt is on. It's a pitch out. It's a pitch out, so of course the bunt is off then. 1-0 now the count. Bunted down the third base line. Foul. 1-1. There's a pitch out again. 2-1. So they've pitched out twice now, thinking that Kelly might be running, and he isn't running anywhere. There's ball 3. 3-1 the count on Wilson. And he takes a strike right down the heart of the plate. Full count now on Art. Fouled away. The full count remains. Good foul ball there by the veteran. Ground ball to left side. Olsen, good play, throws over to first base in time for the out, but Kelly moves over to second, and that'll bring up Pat Reagan. So here comes the question. Do we allow Reagan to stay in this ballgame? Do we pinch hit for him? You can let me know what you would do, assuming that you're watching us this far. I think we're going to leave him in this game. There's a strike, swing, and a miss by Reagan, so it's 0-1. Swing and a miss again, 0-2, and he's swinging for the fences there. High and outside for a ball, 1-2 now on Pat. Head over to Wheat in left field, and he's got that one for the out. And Kelly, not going to risk anything, stays at second base. So there's 2 men away, and here comes Rabbit Moranville. Moranville 0 for 3, swing and a miss at that first pitch, 0-1. There's a ball just high to Rabbit, 1-1. Down and in for a ball, 2-1 now on Moranville, and that's away, but he swings and misses at that one. It's 2-2. Liner to left field, Wheat going after that one, but that's a base hit, and that ends up scoring Joe Kelly, who's pretty quick. And so Rabbit Moranville, once again, has played the role of hero here for Boston. Base hit to left field that falls in front of Zach Wheat, and that makes this a 3-2 ball game. Here now is Buck Herzog. Here's a strike in the outside corner to Herzog, 0-1. Throw to first base, but Moranville not going anywhere this time. This is popped up behind the plate, out of play, 0-2. Swing and a miss there by Herzog, and down he goes. As though we go to the top of the 8th inning, still a 3-2 lead for the Braves, and here comes Lou Malone for the Robins. Malone takes a strike, 1 for 2 so far in this game. And there's a pitch that misses inside to him, so it's 1-1. Fouled away, 1-2 now the count. And there's a little ground ball over to third base. Smith has that one and throws over to first for the out, 1 away. That'll bring up Tommy Griffith here now for the Robins. Tommy hitting 167 so far this season, 1 for 6. 0 for 2 this game. And he takes a strike, 0-1. There's a ball just in under the hands. Looked like a good pitch here, but they call that one a ball. 1-1. That's fouled away off of his thumbs. 1-2 now the count to Griffith. This is fouled away again. Still 1-2. Hit deep to left field. Kelly goes straight back to that one, but remember, it's very, very deep over there, about 400 feet away, and he makes the catch for the out. 2 away, and here comes Zach Wheat. So Wheat now, swing and a miss. Wheat, 5 home runs in 1919 in real life, takes the ball 1-1. So you know these guys don't go deep very often. That's fouled away. 1-2 now the count on Wheat. Hit to right center field. Powell on the move, can't get there. That'll be a base hit. We actually, that was almost a catch. It looked like there was going to be a shoestring catch, and he ended up trapping that instead of catching it. And so Wheat ends up on at first base with that line drive smash to right field. That's hit number 9 for the Robins, and that'll bring up Hy Myers. Myers, 1 for 3. Little roller to the right side. Herzog, good play, throws over to first for the out, and that does it for Brooklyn, and we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It'll be Ray Powell, Riggert, and then Hulk, the heart of the order for the Braves. There is a ball high to Powell, 1-0. And that's in too close. 2-0 now the count. Popped up and out of play. 2-1 now in red. Little liner behind second base, and Myers, Olsen, Malone, nobody can get that one. That one somehow finds a little bit of real estate in between the three fielders. Hit number 8 for the Braves, and that'll bring up Joe Riggert. One thing I haven't mentioned, by the way, is that you'd be surprised, 1919 is a Deadball Era season, but the leagues hit about 263, 264 or so, which is a much better, higher average than the average usually was from like 1941 to something like 1973 or something like that. Here comes Joe Riggert, who takes the strike. So they could hit the ball back then. There's a pitch low, 1-1. It wasn't, the slugging percentages are not high. That's the difference. Throw to first base, nothing happening. 1-1 now the count on Riggert. And there's a ball inside loose off of Kruger's mid, and that's going to be a pass ball. So Powell ends up moving over to second, and that kind of changes the complexion of things here. So Riggert, who had a great time in the first game, is so far in this one 0 for 3. He was 3 for 4 that first game. And there's a ball inside. 3-1 now the count on Joe, and he'll take this one. And that's going to be a called strike. Of course, you know it's always going to be a called strike, so it's a full count now here on Riggert. And the pitch comes in. He just pokes that one foul. Full count remains. Fouled away again. Full count still. Ground ball to third. O'Mara checks Powell back to second, throws to first for the out. There's one away. Here comes Walter Hulk. Hulk comes up there and takes the ball, 1-0. Really exciting game. 2 very exciting games. Very, very close. 2-0 now the count on Hulk. And there's the fat strike taken by Hulk. 2-1. Hulk, of course, fairly good hitting first baseman, but very good fielding first baseman is what it was all about. And certainly a better player than Hal Chase, who was traded for by Cincinnati, as he takes ball 3. 3-1 the count. One of those masterful trades. We'll have to do a little bit of research on that before we see more of the Braves. As Hulk takes the strike, it'll be a full count now. It's a little shot on the ground over to first base. It's Johnston who makes a great play on that one, goes to the bag himself. Powell goes over to third base, and there's 2 men away, and here comes Red Smith. Red Smith is 1 for 1, takes the ball, and he's walked twice. Interesting enough effort. Only walking him. 2-0 now the count. And that's a strike, as that was away. 2-1. Popped up, it'll be the left fielder Wheaton. He can't get there, and Powell will score from third base, and that'll be a single for Smith. And so it's now a 4-2 ball game, and here once again comes Joe Kelly. Kelly's 1 for 3 in this game, only the 1 hit so far this entire doubleheader. And so the Braves end up putting another important run on the board, and here comes Kelly to take his cuts. Here's a strike over there to Kelly, 0-1. And a throw to first base, but not in time. 0-1 it remains. There's a strike at the knees, and it's 0-2 now on Joe Kelly. There's a ball outside, 1-2. Hit to left center field. Wheat does get there in time for the out, so he is able to snag that one before that one gets down for danger. And so we go to the top of the 9th inning. 4-2 now the score in favor of the Braves. It'll be Olsen, O'Mara, and Kruger. Of course, Olsen probably the most dangerous. He's 1 for 3, did score a run, and he takes a strike, 0-1. That pitch just misses. 1-1 now the count. That's a little bit high there to Ivy. 2-1. Pugnacious is the right word for him, Ivy Olsen. Very good against left-handed pitchers, but I'm not sure that people knew that back then. 2-2. You'd have to really be a good manager to pay attention to that in 1919. It's fouled away 2-2. We know that John McGraw would know stuff like that, but I don't know about Wilbur Robinson. This is fouled away again. Still 2-2. Little fly ball over to center. Riggert has that for the out. 1 away, and here comes Ollie O'Mara. This might be his final plate appearance in the major leagues. We'll see if this game goes into extra innings. There's a ball to O'Mara and a strike, 1-1. There's another ball to him, 2-1 now the count. Chopper towards third, but foul. So O'Mara with the base hit, the surprise base hit in the first game, has done a little bit of nothing in this one. 2-2 pitch, and he's jammed. A little ground ball goes over to Rabbit Moranville, who throws over to first for the out, and there's 2 away. That'll bring up Ernie Kruger. And there's a ball inside of Kruger, 1-0. That's fouled away, 1-1 now. Little roller right side, and it'll be Reagan, the pitcher, grabbing that one, throwing to first. Not in time. Kruger, the catcher, is able to beat that one out. This is back when you did have catchers who could run. That'll bring up the pitcher, Big Jeff. And Pfeffer hits for himself. How about that? Down 4-2, but they have him hit for himself. That tells you what the bullpen is like. There's a ball low, 1-0. And there's a strike, 1-1 now the count. That's wide, 2-1. In the dirt and bounced. 3-1 now on Big Jeff. Swing and a miss. Full count now on Pfeffer. And that's a base hit right field in front of Powell. Kruger around second base. He'll hold, and that'll bring up Jimmy Johnston. And this game is a brand new ball game. So top of the ninth inning. It's a 4-2 lead here for the Braves. Jimmy Johnston up there for Brooklyn with 2 men on and 2 men out against Pat Reagan, who's starting to show some signs of tiring. It'll be Otto Miller coming in to pinch run for the pitcher. So Johnston up there now is 2 for 4 today, hitting .500 in this series. Ground ball between second and third. Moranville has that one and flips that one over to Herzog for the out, and that does it. So the Robins came very, very close, but not able to do it in the end. 2 runs, 11 hits, and 2 errors for Brooklyn, and those were costly errors. 4 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Braves. And so they split the doubleheader. Going the whole way, Pfeffer for the Robins takes the loss, goes 8 innings. As 0-1, of course. 1.13 ERA. Reagan, 2 ERA because both of those runs were earned, and he ends up getting the win. So once again, your final score here is Braves 4, Robins 2, after the Robins won 3-2 in the first game. And so there you have it. I plan on doing a whole lot more of these, assuming that the replay ends up going smoothly and so on. If you're not used to replays, this is a good way to start. You can sort of enjoy things. I'll try to come up with a few more stories, other little tidbits and insights to tell you. They won't all be as long as this one. This one was a little bit sort of a marathon job, and hopefully we can get the warm weather back so we don't have this heater on in the background. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll talk with you again later. Take care.